This is the brand new Viltrox 35mm f1.2 Lab Series lens for Sony E-mount, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you guys all about it. I've had this lens for about 2 months now, and in that time, it's already earned the title of my new all-time favorite portrait lens for good reason. 35mm is actually my favorite focal length, and pairing that with a wide aperture of f1.2 is a portrait photographer's dream. And yes, I will be comparing the existing Sigma Art 35 f1.2 to the brand new Viltrox 35 1.2, so stay tuned for that video. Hey guys, my name is Francisco Hernandez. I am a professional portrait photographer and proud Viltrox ambassador based in South Texas with over 15 years of experience shooting portraits. I specialize in teaching off-camera flash and taking portraits, so follow along and consider subscribing if you're interested in that. With the introduction of the Viltrox 35 f1.2 Lab, this makes 2 total lenses in the Lab series, which is Viltrox's top performing lenses. The other being the 135 f1.8, which is available for Sony E-mount and Nikon Z-mount. Right now, the Viltrox 35 f1.2 is only available for Sony E-mount, but it's definitely coming to Nikon Z-mount with a mid to late July release. Viltrox is also planning some more lenses in the Lab series later this year, so I'm really excited to see what those are, and of course, once I get my hands on them, I'll review them as soon as possible. For any Canon shooters watching, just know that Viltrox does want to make lenses for the RF mount, but that's entirely on Canon on when that will happen. In the meantime though, I would recommend picking up a used Sony full frame and the brand new Viltrox 35 f1.2 so you can experience just how great this lens is. Right now, Viltrox has several categories of lenses at different price points. The Lab series, the Pro series, and the Air series. The Lab series lenses are full frame bokeh kings with a cool digital display on top of the lens. The Pro series are tough, excellent APS-C lenses that are a little bit smaller, and the Air series are small, affordable crop and full frame lenses. If you're interested in buying a Viltrox lens and need a little bit of help deciding which one you want to get, just let me know in the comments and I'll help you out. Like I said before, any portrait photographer out there will love the Viltrox 35 f1.2 because of that wide aperture to really isolate the subject or grab a little bit more of the scene by taking a step back, but that doesn't mean that you can't use the 35 for other things as well, such as street photography or landscapes. One of the biggest reasons why I was excited for this lens to come out was the price. The Viltrox 35 f1.2 Lab lens is only $999, but you can actually use my discount code on the screen to save 5%, which is about $50, making this lens even more affordable. For years, I've loved using 35mm at f1.2, but the price on the Sigma Art lens was a little bit of a barrier for other people to enjoy that combo as well. I know this personally because I actually bought my Sigma Art 35 f1.2 used. But now with the brand new Viltrox 35 f1.2 and its price being so close to other 35 f1.4 lenses, it's a no-brainer to get the Viltrox 35 1.2 instead. The Viltrox 35 f1.2 Lab lens is extremely well built, which you can tell right away with the aerospace grade metal body. And for any adventurous photographers out there, you can actually take the 35 into challenging conditions because the lens is also weather sealed, plus the front of the lens has a water repellent and anti-fouling coating. But let's talk about some of the physical features and some of the buttons on the lens itself. On the bottom, there's the rubber weather sealing gasket that I mentioned earlier, and right next to that is a USB-C port for firmware updates, which Viltrox is constantly putting out. On top of the lens is an awesome LCD screen which features a customizable boot up screen that allows you to put any photo or text that you'd like onto the lens. After the lens boots up, you'll see the real-time focusing distance, aperture, if the lens is in manual focus or autofocus, and even the depth of field if you're in manual focus. On the side of the lens with the Viltrox logo, you have a click switch in case you prefer to have smooth aperture adjustments instead of the default clicky adjustments. And on the other side of the lens, you have the focus switch for either auto or manual focus control, and 2 customizable function buttons right next to that. Using the Viltrox Lens app, you can easily connect to the lens via the built-in Bluetooth to program those 2 function buttons for different things, as well as customize that boot up animation on the LCD screen, which can be anywhere from 0 to 30 seconds. On my 135 1.8 Lab lens, I have this photo of my beautiful wife and I, and on the brand new Viltrox 35 1.2, I have this photo of us. And lastly, the Viltrox 35 f1.2 Lab lens has a pretty close focusing distance of 0.34 meters, and there's also a filter thread size of 77mm on the lens in case you want to use any filters on it. At a recent photo shoot that I did using the brand new Viltrox Z1 Vintage Flash, I actually used a mist filter on the 35 for a slight dreamy effect. If you're wondering if the lens is heavy, I'm happy to say that it's even lighter than the Sigma version at 920 grams, and it's also smaller than the Sigma as well. When it comes to speed and sharpness, the Viltrox 35 f1.2 utilizes Viltrox's own design of a quad hyper voice coil motor that gives the lens really fast and really precise accuracy. And of course, it also supports eye and face autofocus detection. Even though I tend to use my Sony a7R III, which is now 8 years old, the focus on the 35 f1.2 is still super fast on that camera. Internally, the 35 has a dual floating focus design, and that is going to help with sharpness from center to edge. I'll be leaving a couple of raw files in the description area below so you can download them and check how sharp the 35 1.2 is yourself. One thing that I wanted to make sure that you guys knew about is the shift in weight that you're going to experience with the 35 1.2, as well as some other Viltrox lenses. This is completely normal. Your lens is totally fine. The only reason why you're experiencing that shift in weight is because the internal focusing system uses magnets, and when the lens is not powered on, the magnets are not activated. Once you power the lens on through a USB-C port or attaching it to the camera and turning the camera on, then you won't feel that shift in weight. With the 35's HD nano coating, that's going to help against flaring and ghosting for anyone wanting to avoid those characteristics. Since the 35 f1.2 lab lens does offer an aperture of f1.2, it's important to show you guys just how dreamy the bokeh is on this lens, and I can tell you from personal experience using this lens for several weeks now that it's just been awesome. I tend to use the widest aperture on my lenses because I paid for those wide apertures, so I've been using nothing but f1.2 on the 35. If you're interested in seeing a behind the scenes video using the Viltrox 35 f1.2, I've already made that, so I'll link it in the top right corner of the screen as well as the description area below. In addition to nice bokeh, having a wide aperture of f1.2 is going to allow more light into your camera's exposure, so for any low light photographers out there, that's going to allow you to have the ISO a little bit lower as well as your shutter speed a little bit faster. I used the 35 f1.2 at night myself a few times and it was really helpful for that environment. Just like with the Viltrox 135 1.8, the Viltrox 35 1.2 lab lens handles distortion and vignetting very well. You can see that in these test photos that at f1.2 there's a little bit of vignetting wide open, but stopping it down to just f1.4 gets it majorly reduced, and at f2.8 it's virtually gone. And as for distortion, from my testing, there was virtually none on the Viltrox 35 f1.2. Another important aspect to look for in any lens that you might be considering is to see how well that lens handles chromatic aberration. Thankfully, the Viltrox 35 f1.2 handles that extremely well, which you can see here with this photo. And as for longitudinal chromatic aberration, there's also virtually none here as well. If you're concerned about image quality, I can tell you right now that you do not have to worry about that at all with the Viltrox 35 f1.2. I used the Viltrox 35 on my Sony a7R III, and the high resolution it offers shows me exactly how sharp the lens is, how well the colors are rendered, how great the contrast is, and pretty much just I never have to worry about the image quality on the 35 1.2. Like I mentioned before, I was really excited for this lens to come out because of the price being just $999, or like I mentioned before, $949 using my discount code on the screen. Yet despite that lower price, it still seriously rivals and even surpasses, in my opinion, the other more expensive lenses that are competing with the 35 1.2. For some reason, Sony themselves don't even have a 35 f1.2, and their existing 35 f1.4 G Master is more expensive than the 35 1.2 Viltrox lens at $1,300. Nikon actually just recently released a 35 f1.2 as well, but that lens is $2,800. For any Nikon Z mount shooters out there, I would definitely recommend waiting until July so you can get the Nikon Z mount version of the 35 f1.2. And like I mentioned before, Sigma actually has a 35 f1.2 lens, but that lens is $1,500. So my conclusion for the Viltrox 35 f1.2 lab lens is that it's seriously amazing, and I can't recommend it highly enough to you guys watching. I know that for me personally, I'm going to be bringing the 35 f1.2 with me to every photo shoot that I do going forward, like I've already done in the past 2 months. So it's safe to say that I'm going to be making more videos with the Viltrox 35 f1.2. If you want to get the Viltrox 35 f1.2 lab lens yourself, be sure to use my link in the description area below, or use my promo code on the screen to save that extra $50 off. If you have any other questions about the Viltrox 35 f1.2 that didn't go over in this video, let me know in the comments and I'll help you out as soon as possible. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the very next video.